England, Ireland, Six Nations 2021. Guys, there is a conspiracy. Everybody's talking about it. All the media, everybody's talking about it. Did Owen Farrell throw the game to help his dad keep his job with Ireland Rugby? Think about it. Think about it. England scored more points after Owen came off the field. And if England lose, Eddie Jones may get fired. And if Eddie Jones gets fired, Owen Farrell can put in a referral for Andy Farrell to take over. Right? And they can take over the empire as father and son. And they can rule the world of union under the Farrell Empire. Think about it. Think about it. Now, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat away and go over what happened at Ireland versus England Six Nations 2021. Now, first of all, England learned not to get on the wrong side of the referee. There were so many penalties that was 50-50 and they just got hard done by the referee. And also, just, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. There were so many penalties that was given away. There was just, quite frankly, really looked like the referee was out against England. There was scrums, multiple scrums, where the referee called England for early engagement, and it almost looked like the referee's calls was a little bit slower than what you would expect. And there was obstruction in the line out where the England player lifted up their own ball receiver, and then they blocked themselves, put the ball receiver down like this in front of them, and then blocked themselves onto the opposition side, which is technically obstruction. And apparently World Rugby wanted that to be looked at and penalized hard. So yeah, technically it is a penalty, but professionally speaking, I mean, probably shouldn't have done that in the first place. But anyway, a bit hard done by there as well. And there were times where it's just really bizarre, where there was one where Owen Farrell got tackled and nobody was like contesting the ball from Ireland team. He just like rolled. He was facing the wrong way, so he just like rolled himself back to face his own team and place the ball. And the referee called that hold on, like holding the ball, like not releasing the ball. That was really tough, and you can see on Farrell's face. It was like, really, I don't think you're right. But yeah, that was really tough. Like, if the Irish player was contesting, then yes, okay, you can give that. But no one was like on Farrell. He was just like rolling to get the ball for free, and there was England players all over him. So it was really dumb. And there was other ones where like England would just they were just basically, you know, it's basically play where you draw a defender and you pass, and then you just keep running your line after you pass the ball, and you kind of like runs into the defender, which is not a penalty. If you're not like stepping into somebody, stepping out of the way to take someone out, it's not a penalty, especially if you had the ball, or even if you don't have the ball, if you're just running your line and it's just like a tiny bump into someone, it's not really a penalty. And again, the referee gave a penalty against England for obstruction, which is really like, you know, borderline not really a penalty. But if you really scrutinize it, yes, you're not supposed to run into players if you don't have the ball. But it's like, I mean, the referee really got to the wrong side of England really got on the wrong side of the referee for this game. And one of the things that could have caused this, I'm not saying this is the reason that caused it. Early in the first half, there was a point where Sinclair got like poked in the eye, And he just kept complaining to the referee about it. Like, minutes after the game has carried on, he kept complaining. The comment, we couldn't see it on TV because obviously, other things are happening, Mr. Sinkler. And the commentators were like, oh, Sinkler is still complaining to the referee about the guy gouge. And like, if the referees, and I think that could be the point where the referee got tipped over. Because if you did that, the referee technically had the right to penalize you. Like, if the referee goes, stop talking to me, decisions been made, there's no foul play, accidental eye poke or whatever, no foul play, then you just have to carry on. If you kept complaining, he could just penalize you right there. But I think that's where the referee just went, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm just, if whether it's consciously or subconsciously, the referee definitely was going really hard on England this game. So, and that could have been the tipping point there. And overall, Ireland played a much, much, much better game this week than they did last week. It was much more clinical. The Irish forward pack was just sublime this game. Absolutely sublime. Just really hard on the breakdown, really disciplined for most of the game. Really good defensively, and really good, like, setting up a really solid platform for the backs, and just really, really, really good overall. Much in terms of 2 forward packs, they did really well in the scrums, and the Irish forward packs really was the winner in this game. And England, on the other hand, played really poorly. Their forward packs was giving away penalties left and right, and you can say, whatever the referee, whether you blame the referee or not, it doesn't matter. You put yourself in a position to give the referee an opportunity for a 50-50 call, and he called the other way. I mean, it's just, you shouldn't put yourself in some of these positions, like, obstructing your own line out, like, bringing, like, just professional foul like that. You should know better to not do that in the first place. And just, like, England, and the kicks were pretty bad this game as well. The George Ford's kicks, there was a lot of them was just like, there was no point to the kick. It was just like, it was literally just England not knowing what to do after like 3 phases or 5 phases or whatever. And they just, and George Ford was just like, all right, let's put up a high board and see what happens. And that's basically what was happening to most of the England's attack, and not really putting, and some of these kicks are really so bad that England couldn't even put pressure to contest the ball. Right? And it's just not really good it was not a good performance by George Ford. What do you call it? So discipline cost England. The England, due to the penalties and due to their own kicking, they weren't really able to apply too much pressure against Irish for most of the game. In fact, in the second half of the game, when they did apply pressure, Ireland conceded tries, right? Whereas for most of the game, England was just like not able to apply much pressure against the Irish defense. But anyway, overall, congratulations to Ireland, and Owen Farrell, I'm watching you. I know what you're doing. Anyway, let's get on with the overall review. So straight start from the start of the game, teams were doing a bit of a back and forward. 9-minute mark, England got their first penalty. So obviously the first penalty went to England. The referee seems to be pretty neutral at this point. Farrell got the conversion, 3-0. England got an early lead. About 10 minutes later, Johnny Sexton also received there was another penalty against England, and Johnny Sexton got the kick, and the game is now sitting at 3 points to 3. A few minutes later, this is Ireland scored a try, and this is one of the best tries I have, like set piece, like one of those beautiful set piece tries that you're ever gonna see, like anywhere. And it's just absolute beauty, sublime execution. There was a line out, and it looked like the ball has been unintentionally overthrown. But the guy at the back was the number 8. I think the Ireland number 8. I can't remember who he was. At the back, He jumped up, he ran, he paddled backwards, he back paddled, and he jumped up and knocked the ball like inside, knocked the ball like down towards his own team. And the person to receive the ball is Keith Earls, the winger, the blindside winger. And the fact that Keith Earls received this ball tells me that this is not an accidental overthrow. This is like a planned move. So the Keith Earls got the ball basically between the line out and the number 10 channel, and he just straight through the English defense, just cracked straight through. Nobody was expecting him to be there, so he just ran straight through. And then Johnny May comes up to try to cover him from the fullback to try to cover him. And Keith Earls just did a beautiful step, and Johnny May just overran him, completely missed the tackle. And Keith Earls just runs down, beautiful try, and it was just sublime execution. Like, it was just, it's like just like one of those things you just like, it was like, just a surprise, just complete surprise just to see Keith Earls popped out popped out with the ball at the, just at the back of the line out. It was just like one of the things you just didn't expect at all, and just resulted in just such a beautiful try for Ireland. Absolutely sublime, beautiful to watch. Johnny Sex Pistols converts the try. Ireland leading 10 points to 3 at this point. A few minutes later, there was another penalty against Ireland, and England takes the kick, 6 points to 10. Okay, at this point, things are still pretty close. And I think this is, after this kick, around about here, is where things starting to get a bit, like where the referee is starting to get tilted against England, right? Like I think this is where the commentators were mentioning that Sinclair might have got eye gouged accidentally, and he was complaining to the referee for like a very long time, and that could have just subconsciously made the referee bias against England, because nobody wants to get told how to do their job, especially if you're professional, right? So maybe that's where things started to get back, and England got penalized around this area where like a couple times, in fact, for early engagement and early pushing, to result in a full. So England got penalized for early engagement and then there was a free kick, and Ireland called for like a scrum, and then England did it again, like if in early engagement or early push. I think the second penalty was early push in the same setup. So the referee gave a full on penalty against Ireland. And straight away, you can just tell it was very marginal. Like, this was very marginal in terms of early push and early engagement at the scrum. You have to keep in mind, if you ever played a forward, when this almost like a ton of weight colliding onto each other, and it's pretty hard to just not push, or if you're leaning forward, it's pretty hard to just, if the wave's coming through, then you gotta go in. It's not like the props. It's not like the props can just go stop and not go in. Like, it's pretty hard to not get pushed in if the wave started to if the wave started to path to tilt in. It's pretty hard to not go in. And as a referee, you need to just, if you see both teams are kind of tilting in, you should just call it instead of just waiting, pausing for an extra second for one team to eventually lose their control and goes in. You should just call it and get two teams to just get the scrum set. So anyway, England got really hard done by with the penalty there. Johnny Sexton kicks another penalty, 13 points to 6 at this point for Ireland. And then after that, Ireland had another beautiful attacking opportunity where they scored a try with Jack Conan. I think this is where Johnny Sexton did one of those. This is where a high ball played out perfectly. Like, all the England kicks didn't really have a purpose. It's just kind of kicking away. This is Johnny Sexton with this kick was kind of like the textbook kick of how he should have done it. So Ireland was attacking about 30 meters out, just outside of the 22 of England 22. And Johnny Sexton from center field did a high ball over to the sideline with England, to the sideline fullback on the right hand side of Irish of the field. And then one of their kickers, the number 15 from Ireland team, the Irish fullback, the Sexton gave us so much hang time, the fullback was able to get there and challenge for the high kick. And he actually got there just in time with momentum, jumped up and won the kick and turned over the ball for Ireland. And suddenly England was on the back foot. And Ireland rolled in crashed forward a few times, got really close to the England try line and spread it out wide a little bit. And eventually, Jack Conan crashes over a try. It's just perfect gameplay for Ireland. And I think there was another try that was very similar to this, where Johnny Sexton did a crossfield kick for Keith Earls, and he jumps over and plants down a try. But the referee went back and watched it. It was just a beautiful kick, and like again into the try, into the from the left hand side of the field across the kick to the right hand field, and Keith Earls runs in, did this beautiful jump, and in the air, aerodynamic in the air, planted the ball down before he went out of the sideline, and it was called off because there was a knock on leading up to the try. Marginal knock on, but it's a little bit weird. The ball looked like it was knocked back, but it was knocked back onto I guess you could say that it was knocked back. It was kind of weird, but anyway, the referee looked at it and they said it was knock on. Whatever. It was a shame that the try got denied, but the referee, this was a TMO that made the decision. TMO said it knocked back. But yeah, anyway. So there was another one that kind of like that as well. So Johnny Sexton's high ball kicks were by far like better than Ford's in this game. So Jack Conan goes in for the try. Johnny Sexton converts the try. 20 points to 6 going to halftime. Ireland in firm control of this game, right? And second half starts. I think the first thing your team would have talked about in halftime is the penalties that you're giving away. And the fact that the referee is clearly like not on your side, and you need to manage the referee. Referee management is a thing in professional sport. It happens a lot, probably more in soccer, where football. Football. Where you kind of don't want a referee to be against you. You have to manage the referee. But in rugby as well, you kind of like if the referee is not giving you those 50-50 calls, you gotta have to, figure out a way to work around that or manage that basically. So coming off the second half, straight away, England had an opportunity to attack a 5 meter out scrum, line out, sorry, and they did the penalty where the thing where you lift up your own player and then you block off, you put yourself like in front of your own player on the opposition side as he comes down to the line out to block them from to block the opposition from being able to challenge for the maul. Again, it's obstruction. Like, this referee is gonna penalize that. He's been penalizing you for just anything. And then why would you? Anyway, England did that. Referee just goes, okay, that's obstruction. Sure, sometimes you get away with it, but why did you expect to get away with it with this referee? He's been penalizing you over just basically anything he can think of. Why do you think you can get away with that? But anyway, that was just dumb from England's point of view. Penalized. Oh, and then, just before halftime as well, where Owen Farrell, he got tackled. This is where Owen Farrell got tackled, and he kind of like rolled himself back to his own team and placed the ball down, and the referee called him for holding on, despite the fact that no Irish player was actually like challenging for the ball, and England had forwards all over Farrell to secure the ball. So anyway, the referee was really, really hard on England, and to come out the second half, despite that Farrell penalty just before the half time, you do this kind of thing where it is clearly obstruction, and I don't know why they thought they can get away with that. So anyway, that kind of relieved the pressure for Ireland. And a few phases later, Ireland got another penalty, another 3 points to Johnny Sexton. Ireland scores the first 3 points in the second half, and then things got a bit weird, right? Things got a bit weird. I think this is the point where things got a bit weird, where England had a free kick, so half arm, you could just kick the ball away in like just outside of their own 22. You get a free kick, you can just kick the ball away or like take a tap and run. It doesn't really matter. Just outside their own 22, like 30 meter line, so pretty dangerous situation. Instead of just taking the free kick, England called for a scrum. And apparently Sinclair called for a scrum. Okay, so the whole point of the scrum is to set your backs up for a free kick, right? For a free kick. And for the whole game, your scrum hasn't been dominating. You have been struggling in scrums. You've been penalized multiple times for early engagement. And it's not like you're dominating Ireland's scrum. And for some reason, they think they can dominate the Ireland scrum and get a full-on penalty so we can get a line out of this. Just like, I don't like... just like, what? What do you... Like, just outside your own 22, you want to get a full-on penalty from your... Anyway, they decided to go for a scrum, and everybody in the world can see this is coming, right? Ireland's gonna win the tight head. Ireland's gonna win the tight head. This is not gonna be good. Why did you decide to do this? And sure enough, Ireland scrum crushes the England scrum right in front of their own 22-meter line. Full-on penalty against England. The referee was more than happy to give away the penalty. The referee was giving away penalty to Ireland the whole game. What did you expect? He was waiting to put his hand up, right? He was still like, this movement for the referee. It's just like he's lifting weight. He's doing his weight session. He's doing shoulder session for during the game, right? He's just doing this shoulder lifts. The referee's doing shoulder lifts the whole game. He's waiting to do another set, all right? And then, lo and behold, full-on penalty against England, and Ireland's just like, thanks very much. We'll take the 3 points right in front of your goalpost. Johnny Sexton gets a kick. Another 3 points down for England. Just mind-boggling decision-making there for England, for the English team. And then things got even weirder. George Ford got subbed off. Okay, George Ford got subbed off. Owen Farrell moves into 10, right? And a minute later, Owen Farrell went in for a tackle, and he knocks himself out. He knocks his head onto the guy who was trying to tackle his shoulder, and he knocks himself out. Right? He went down, and look at he went out, and he suddenly got up. Right? So he realized, he fucking realized he had to keep throwing the game for his dad. So he suddenly got up and he was like, no, sorry, no, I'm fine. I wasn't knocked out. I'm fine. No need to take me off the field. I'm fine. And the referee said, no, you got knocked out. Just, you got to HIA. You can't get, everybody saw you got knocked out. Check your head. And Farrell went off and he didn't come back on because he obviously failed the concussion test. So Farrell didn't come back on. They had Dan Robson on to play number 10. And as far as first of all, I personally don't even know who Dan Robertson is. I've never heard of him. Second of all, the commentators were saying that Robson was like a fullback or something. He didn't play 10. He does not play 10. So they put Robson in at 10, and you're just like, oh, this is gonna get worse for England. Oh my god! And a few minutes later, a 62nd minute, Johnny Sexton had another penalty. Cool as the clam, kicks the penalty, and then at this point, Ireland is leading 29 points to 6. 29 points to 6, and this is where like England started to like lift. England finally started to lift. Finally decided, hey, we're not gonna just kick the ball away and just actually try to smash like our way through and try to score, right? So England was piling up pressure against Ireland inside the Irish 22. And Bundy Aki went in for a shoulder charge, hit one of the England players in the head, red card. Suddenly, there's 15 minutes left. England started looking good. There's one player off the field, 15 against 14. England can actually do something. And sure enough, from that red card, England went for a line out. And the England set up for a beautiful maul. And Ben Jans was at the back of the maul, and the hooker had the ball at the back, and Ben Jans was standing behind the hooker, and he saw there was only one defender on the blind side, so he just tapped the hooker on the back, and it's indicating to go for the blind side, and then the hooker peeled off, ran straight at the defender on the blind side, drawn past, and Ben Jans slid himself in just tiptoed himself in by the try line, runs in for the England's first try after Farrell's off the field. Okay, after Farrell's off the field, George Ford's off the field, no stupid kicking. First try for England, 65 minutes into the game. What can you say? What can you say? Owen Farrell's throwing the game for his dad. Everybody knows it. Anyway, Daly took over the kicking duties because no one else can kick. And Daly missed the conversion, sadly. And then there was another... and then there was a bit more play. Another full-on penalty against England for breakdown, I think. Again, 69th minute. Johnny Sexton took his time. Slides in the kick. Ireland 32. England 11 at this point. And, I mean, England's not gonna... I mean, England's just like, okay... Good for England. They didn't give up. Kept on playing. Really tried hard. Elliot Daly really played hard this game. He did some really big return kicks against Ireland and really set England up for a lot of the positions. So the only one who was actually kicking, who landed some good kicks is Elliot Daly actually. So I guess he got knocked. I guess his ego got hurt a little bit for getting dropped last game. So he's really came out and tried to prove himself. He did some really good running as well this game, where he received the kick, high ball and he just ran back another 10-20 meters. Just really good play, good effort from Elliot Daly overall this game. And then, sure enough, England was again pounding the Irish try line. They were just running the forwards forward, and Ireland was offside. Conor Murray, yellow card for offside, 78th minute, 2 minutes to go. England went for another scrum, and Ireland at this point is down to 13. England went for another scrum, they just spread the ball out wide. When the ball came out, they just spread the ball out wide. There was open space everywhere for the winger, Johnny May. Johnny May got the ball, runs up. There was one person up to defend, I think it was the Ireland number 15 or 14. So there was someone that tackled Johnny May, one-on-one tackle, but Johnny May just shrugged him off. You look like the defender made a bad effort, to be honest. So he could have probably stopped Johnny May here. But anyway, Johnny May, determined, kept his legs pumping, went over for a try, 79th minute. Elliot Daly quickly got the ball, got a conversion. And at this point, England's back up 18 points to 32. And it looked like England wanted to go for another try just to make it, just to prove themselves. Like, they run out of time to win the game, but they wanted to get another try. They worked for it, but eventually it was like the game ran out, time ran out. Ireland end up with the win, 32 points to 18. Anyway, that was the end of the game. And Eddie Jones is not happy. England end up in wooden spoons for the Five Nations. And it's probably the worst England performance since Eddie Jones took charge. This is the worst season since Eddie Jones took charge, and I think largely is because because I almost got myself demonetized, and it is probably because of the global crisis going on at the moment that's affecting England players not being able to play club games. But yeah, overall the execution this week from the kicks were way worse than last week. England forwards are way less disciplined. Although the referee did go really hard against England, but still the forward pack should have managed it better because you're professionals. But yeah, anyway, pretty good win for Ireland. You'll be pretty happy to not finish last place in the Five Nations as Irish fans. And that was a good back-to-back win in the last 2 weeks. Like, overall, Ireland has been pretty hard done by. You lost to Wales by a red card and just barely scraped the loss against red card against Wales. So you could have probably won that. And you lost to France, again, a pretty close game, which could have gone either way. And that was without Johnny Sexton. So if you had Johnny Sexton against France, you probably could have won it. Especially, yes, you could have won against France because Billy Burns missed, one or two kicks against France and you barely lost to France. If Johnny Sexton was on the field and had his kicking boots on like he did today against England, he could have won against France as well. And, you know, you're beating England quite comfortably here. You beat, which one was it? You had another win last week against Scotland, which was pretty good performance from your team. And you did improve from last week as well. So Ireland got a bit hard done by this season, I think. I think Ireland could have probably won the Triple Crown, if not Six Nations in a Grand Slam. You could have got, you had the talent to win for a Grand Slam if Johnny Sexton hadn't been injured. So a little bit of shame for Ireland, but you did much better than England this season. England is by far the worst team in Six Nations this year. The Five Nations, sorry, sorry, my bad, not Six Nations. England's by far the worst team in Five Nations this year. And yeah, there'll be a lot of criticism for the Emperor himself, Eddie Jones, and maybe they could put in a referral for Andy Farrell to take over. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and see you guys next week for France versus Scotland. Cheers.